Hello and welcome to Branix Reviews. For this one we're talking about Die Hard 3 and 4, also known as Die Hard with Vengeance, Die Hard 4.0, Live Free or Die Hard. We're going to get into all that. For context, the reason we're talking about these, last Christmas we did this video where we covered the first two movies because those are Christmas movies. But of course the subsequent two movies are summer movies. So now being summer is a good time to talk about them. I do realise that there was a fifth movie that got released. We don't count that because it was a piece of shit. So what we're going to do here is focus on Die Hard with a Vengeance, along with Die Hard 4.0, and get into things. And yeah, let's do this.
Always in the wrong place at the wrong time.
How about yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker?
Hello and welcome to Brandex Reviews, and today we have the core.
Yes.
So, as I was saying, the point of this video, last Christmas, we might have even said at the time, we'll come back in the summer and talk about Die Hard 3 and 4, but obviously for our Christmas special we talked about the Die Hard 1 and 2 movies as part of the Die Hard quadrilogy. Now, some people are going to say there's a fifth film. I don't remember there being a fifth film. Do you remember?
There is no fifth film. Get the fuck out of here.
There is no fifth film, exactly. It's just four movies, four pretty good movies. So, like I said, we talked about the first two. Go on.
Four's got some problems, but I'd still say it's an okay movie.
Yeah, we'll get into that anyway. So yeah, this is kind of a follow-up to that. If there's such a thing as a summer special on this channel, because we've never done that before, this is it. Unfortunately, weather does kind of suck today. I was kind of hoping to record this while it was nice and warm, but British weather can be a bit unpredictable. Not the point of the video anyway. What we're going to do first is we're going to talk about Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's the third movie in the series. So here's the third movie. Die Hard with a Vengeance, 1995, is the third film in the Die Hard series and follows suspended NYPD detective John McClane, played by Bruce Willis, as he's forced into a deadly game orchestrated by a terrorist calling himself Simon. After Simon detonates a bomb in New York City, he demands that only McClane can complete a series of timed riddles and dangerous tasks, or more bombs will go off. While carrying out Simon's challenges, John McClane is reluctantly helped by a character called Zeus, played by Samuel L. Jackson, a Harlem shop owner who becomes his kind of unofficial partner. He's not a cop, he's just a guy that he comes across during the story. As they race across New York solving puzzles, they discover that Simon's true objective isn't revenge, it's to distract the police while he steals billions of dollars worth of gold from the Federal Reserve. I say revenge. Simon is eventually revealed to be Simon Gruber, the brother of Hans Gruber, the villain that John McClane defeated and killed in the first Die Hard movie. So there's connectivity to the first movie in a really good way. Now, obviously, in keeping with the Gruber family tradition, if you remember the first film, the point of that was it was staged as a terrorist event, but in reality it was a robbery. Similar deal with this one, so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. In a John McTiernan film, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
John McClane, NYPD. Are you all right?
Yes. Laundry day.
So that came out in 1995. Don't think I saw it until the subsequent year because I was a bit too young to watch it officially at the cinema. I remember renting this in '96. Any happy memories of watching this when it came out, Cole?
Less so of watching it when it came out. I remember getting Die Hard 3, like actually owning it, because it was when 3Ds was closing down and somebody had like put a thing down on it, like Die Hard 3, and then hadn't collected or hadn't gone through with it.
Right.
So I was able to like swoop in and get it.
Right. So yeah, that might have been a while after it had come out.
It was either when it was coming out or they had like extra copies and they were selling some of them off. Or I do remember getting it before it was like traditionally out to buy.
Yeah. So this is a pretty good film compared to maybe the second one, because the second one I do like that very much, but it just seems to be kind of lacking something that the first one had. There's still a bit of a magic to it, and it was peak Bruce Willis era, around about Last Boy Scout kind of time. But the third movie really seemed to recapture something that I thought that the second one was missing. Perhaps it was John McTiernan returning to direct it. Because obviously the second movie still has his wife in it as well. You don't really have that in this, although it's done quite clever in a clever way. She's not a central part of the story like the previous two movies. But it is done in kind of without like killing her off or something stupid. She's basically not in the movie because he's not talking to her anymore. They've fallen out, and there's a bit of a hint at the end of the film that he's gonna reverse that.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of comes across very much as like he's stubborn, she's stubborn, but eventually they'll work it out. Like it's not like
yeah.
they're done forever.
Yeah. And the whole point of the John McClane character is that he's an everyman, and in this film, probably more so than any of the other movies, because he's pretty much suffering from a hangover. And despite everything that happened in the previous movies, he's on suspension as a police detective, and he's just basically not taking care of himself, and seems fairly underappreciated, as I say, in context of being a hero that we saw him in the previous movie. So it does remain loyal to the humanization, if that's a word, the humanizing factor that you saw in the previous movies. Again, they've not, like I said, well, because of that, he's now a superhero. It's not that any of the other Die Hard movies possibly did that after this point. We can get to that.
Yeah, he's still like just a cop. I mean, yeah, he's been in like two like incredible situations where he somehow managed to pull out, the win. But it's not like, yep, well, that's just his thing now. We're like, he's an action hero. We know he's gonna, he's probably not the greatest cop, so that's why he's on suspension.
Yeah. And of course, the really good plot twist in this that, similar to in the first movie, what you think is actually a terrorist incident is actually not really. That's a cover for what is actually a heist or a robbery. And of course, that's not. And you kind of had a similar twist even in the second film. It wasn't exactly the same, but this one is very similar to the first movie. But it's done for the reason of it's a family trait, because the bad guy in this is Hans Gruber's brother. So there's even reference when John McClane figures it out. He says, "I know the family. This isn't what is being presented here. This is a robbery." So
look, there is not liking one's buff, and then there is not caring when some Topher Flatfoot jizzes in his face.
that's for the benefit of one particular person that's watching this video, but I like it. Yeah. So
well, it's a special. Like we always have some kind of buff quote from the film for a special.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, there's obviously, like I said, there's that plot twist that you've got there, and Jeremy Irons is the villain in this. Definitely lives up to the standard that was set by Alan Rickman in the first movie. Obviously, with him being German, because it's revealed quite early on that his character is German. So you would have thought that somebody might have figured it out earlier on that this was maybe related to what happened in 1988 at the Nakatomi building. But that aside, anyway, I think I went into this knowing that it was his brother anyway. I think by the time this film came out and got released in the UK on videotape, I was well aware of that spoiler. But if you went into this not knowing...
I was going to say, I don't think it was necessarily like a twist that it's his brother, because he does like kind of say pretty early on, like, I'm doing this because you killed my brother. And it's like, your brother was an asshole. He's like, yeah, yeah, he was, but
Yeah,
doesn't mean I don't give a shit when you killed him.
yeah, exactly. So, there's something quite funny that goes around at Christmas time. People like to say that it's not Christmas until they see Hans Gruber falling from the Nakatomi building. I made a similar one to it's not summer until you see the CIA agent in the back of the car and he says, does the name Gruber mean anything to you? And he has like a flashback and it rings a bell, yes. That was really well done. So, yeah, this is something that I used to do in the past. I used to watch Die Hard. I mean, I still do when it's Christmas time. And sometimes when it comes around to watching the third one at least, it feels, well, that's like a summer movie. So maybe I should like save that for like 6 months and watch Die Hard 3 and then later on Die Hard 4 when that came out. In the summer. It's not something that I do. I do that specifically like every time round, but I know I've done that in the past. I did that this year as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I also think they did a good job casting Lawrence Fishburne in this one.
Oh no, that was I think you got that wrong. It was Samuel Jackson. Racist.
Damn it, I'm racist.
Racist. No, this was good. I mean, let's talk about Samuel L. Jackson really, because this was a good movie for him because of that. He'd been around for a lot of years in Hollywood, in like just doing bit parts. So there's like a bit in Coming to America. He even had like a bit in a massive film, obviously, but it was a small role, Jurassic Park. You might not remember he was in that.
And he had really good like chemistry with like the John McClane character, like his character and him, like. It was really good, like buddy cop type kind of banter between them.
Yeah, and this was kind of on at a time in the action movies when buddy cop stuff was kind of dying out a little bit, because that was something that kind of started maybe at least 10 years early with things like 48 Hours and so on, and then Lethal Weapon and that. But with Samuel L. Jackson, like I say, with his career, it wasn't until the year before he did this in '94 when he was cast in Pulp Fiction that his presence and career like soared massively. Of course, Bruce Willis was in that as well. So kind of reunited in this. So again, after that point, I think Samuel L. Jackson's career was massive. And then obviously he was great in The Matrix as well, wasn't he? So, no, damn it, that's Lawrence
Now
Fishburne.
you're being racist.
Damn it.
Damn it.
So, absolutely cracking film anyway. I always think the first one is a better film. But there's an argument to be made for Die Hard with a Vengeance. I know quite a few people that prefer this to that. What would be your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this one is up with the first one for me, like as one of the best parts of the. I don't dislike the second one, but I can definitely see the argument of like this was peak Die Hard.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one because with all the previous movies, they were set in different places, not just like a place, but actual city. So the first one is set in LA, the second one is set primarily in Washington, around the airport, and then this one is set in New York, which makes sense because we did know from the previous two movies that he was a New York cop in the first one, then moved out from New York, but obviously he's gone back in this movie. So it's pretty good changing the scenery, changing the formula a little bit so it's not set at Christmas anymore, because you can't just keep doing that forever. Otherwise you've just got some kind of weird Home Alone type franchise. But 95 was a pretty good era for action movies because these guys, the main ones, the A-listers, so like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, was still doing stuff that was pretty good, but the genre in general, you were seeing less of these action stars leading these kind of roles, these kind of franchises and movies, and it was kind of started getting handed off to guys that were just more general actors that could also do action movies, like Nicolas Cage, Christian Slater potentially, Keanu Reeves. People like that they were becoming the big movie stars in action, so like The Rock and all these like Jerry Bruckheimer movies. So people like Bruce Willis, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme, that had been kind of leading action movies for the best part of a decade at this point. Well, some of those had. They were kind of dwindling a little bit. You could see the beginning of the end. Don't get me wrong, I like all the movies, those movies that came out in this era, mid-90s, so like Demolition Man and Eraser and all those other ones. But you can definitely see things starting to kind of wind down for the genre in general, which obviously then led us to things like Bourne, Identity, and so on in the 2000s. So that leads us into the next movie, really. We're into the 2000s now. So 2007, Die Hard 4.0, also known as Live Free or Die Hard. We'll just cut away and we'll just talk about that film.
Why'd you bring a cop into my command center?
Command center. It's a basement.
Who is this man?
Live Free or Die Hard, also known as Die Hard 4.0 in some countries, came out in 2007, and it follows, again, John McClane as he becomes caught in a massive cyber terrorist attack targeting the United States critical infrastructure. When hackers across the country are mysteriously murdered, McClane is assigned to bring in a young hacker named Matt Farrell for questioning. Before they can reach safety, they are ambushed by mercenaries working for the bad guy Thomas Gabriel, played by Timothy Olyphant, a former government cybersecurity expert seeking revenge. Gabriel launches a coordinated cyber attack known as a fire sale that cripples transportation, communications, financial system and utilities, throwing the nation into chaos on July 4th, which obviously, as we're aware, is a American holiday. As McClane and Farrell evade Gabriel's forces, they uncover the full scope of the plot and race to stop the attackers before they seize control of the country's financial infrastructure. Despite being outmatched by advanced technology, McClane relies on his determination, resourcefulness and old-school instincts to take down Gabriel and his organisation. So again, there's similar beats to what we've had in the previous movies. John McClane is still pretty much an everyman in this movie. It's good to see how he has still kept the character that we saw in the previous film, something that was lacking in the subsequent movie after this. But also it keeps the tradition of what you see going on isn't really what it's all about. So for example, in the previous movies you had things like terrorist attacks that were actually a disguise for what was actually a robbery. Something similar happens in this one. So this one I would say is a good sequel. Not as good as the previous ones, but it is still a decent film.
Did you want to say something?
Yippee-ki-yay, brother.
So yeah, this film came out in 2007. This is the fourth film in the franchise. Did we got to see this together at the cinema?
Might have done. I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah. So this again, similar to the last movie, which was a summer movie. Obviously, Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's got a whole summer in the city thing at the beginning. This movie is also a summer movie specifically set on the 4th of July, which is, as we're recording this today, it's 4th of July as well. So it's kind of a celebration of that as well. But that whole thing about being the 4th of July was a big part of the story as well, because you basically got a cyber attack on the infrastructure of the USA, and it's done on a holiday as well, a national holiday. So it's like maximum carnage, basically. What did you think about this one?
I think this is where they did start to go awry. Definitely, it was one of those films I've always held up as like the bad CGI.
Yeah, when it's
like,
overused.
Where it's like, you couldn't have done this like physically. Like, it's not just like, oh, it's easier and safer to do with CGI. It's like, no, you physically couldn't have done this stunt. There's no way this would have worked. So maybe you just shouldn't have done it at all.
Yeah, because the...
go on.
Well, there's a degree, I suppose, with the previous films, as ridiculous as they are with the action and stuff, there's still a degree of verisimilitude, which is obviously something where there's a level of reality in there that you kind of buy. So even when he's like tying, in the first movie, when he ties a fire hose around his waist and he's like saying, how the hell did I get into this shit? And he's like scared. That kind of, even though it's a ridiculous stunt, that could be me or you doing that, because in that situation, you'd have no choice. And obviously kind of survives it, but that element of it might not be quite as realistic. But you can kind of buy that he would do that and
And you could actually get a stunt man. You could tie something to him, and you could have him jump off a roof.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it would it would work. Like it would be difficult, and all this, and it'd be expensive to do, but you could do it.
Yeah.
Whereas I distinctly remember, there's a stunt. It's something like a car crashing into something. He has to jump at just the right moment and just get in. It's like there's no way you could have done that. It is absolutely impossible.
Yeah, there's bits where there's a tunnel in there and there's a car that flips, and it does look very computer generated. And the bit where he jumps on top of that jet as well. Again, that could happen, but it's not really likely. Whereas it's likely that if you're on top of a building that's about to blow up and your only thing was to jump, which a lot of people have done that in the past when they're in a burning building. He does it with a fire hose tied around his waist. It's not too far out of the degree of believability. Whereas the kind of stunts that he was doing in Die Hard 4 did seem like he had maybe the hand of God, at his side, because there's no way that would happen in real life.
Yeah, I'd say for me it's even more than that, because it's it looks really fake because your brain's there's no way that would happen. I don't believe there's actually a person jumping onto that Harrier jump jet. That's not happening. That's not working.
Yeah.
I might as well just be playing a video game at this point, because it's about as realistic to actually fucking happen.
Yeah. And to be specific as well, we love action movies as ridiculous and silly as they are. I mean, this is very similar to End of True Lies. We don't have a problem with that, do we? Reason being, the John McClane character is supposed to be an everyman. That's what kind of makes him stand out and makes him a lot more relatable. That's why, a lot of girls can watch, Die Hard and actually get something out of it and enjoy it. Whereas, if they were watching, True Lies or something, they wouldn't really appreciate it. Whereas Die Hard, you can kind of, relate to him. So I think when it's the Die Hard franchise and they started doing that in contrast to, something out of, Commando or True Lies or Rambo, that's kind of where it starts to lose that edge. It compromises the essence of his character being an everyman, which is why we just don't count the fifth movie, because they went full bore with what this whole thing that we're talking about now. But that aside, because I do actually like Die Hard 4. If I was going to watch the third film, after having watched the previous two movies, I would also watch the fourth film as well. It's a very good film. It's just not
Yeah, to be clear, I would watch the fourth film as well. I'm not saying
yeah.
It was just, for me, it's one of those times where it kind of started, and usually what I would hold up as my example of bad CGI. The film itself as a whole, don't mind it. It's pretty inoffensive. It is starting to get a little bit onto the superhero side rather than just everyday cop, but it's still on just the right side of that.
I like Timothy Olyphant as well. He's a good bad guy in this, but again, he doesn't really stand up to the previous bad guys, particularly Alan Rickman or Jeremy Irons. I did quite like what was his name from the second movie? Non-name remembering mofo. William. Oh, I can't remember his name. But you know what I mean? He played the bad guy in the second movie, and William Atherton. That's it. He's always a good bad guy. To be fair, he was in a Seagal film as well, as a bad guy the same year that he did Die Hard 2, and he's pretty good. I'll probably say he was even better than the Timothy Olyphant villain in Die Hard 4. But I do still like the guy, and I like the actor Timothy Olyphant as well, which helps. But there was just something about him didn't have the kind of charm that the Die Hard villain at this point kind of there's a standard for it. So that was kind of something that was lacking a little bit. It hasn't aged brilliantly, this film, because anytime you do a movie like this, it's heavily based on the current technology of the era. It doesn't age well a lot of the time, because you kind of look back and you laugh at some of it. But if you can kind of suspend that and just put yourself back in 2007 when the film came out, it's fine. But it's definitely a post 9/11 movie as well. Obviously, it's set in Washington again, similar to the second movie, but it's set in the actual city itself. We know there was like an attack on 9/11, which was 6 years before this film came out, some of which was in Washington as well. And we basically have this as a more kind of terrorism done from another location kind of things. It's not a classic thing where people are being taken hostage as such, or lined up against a wall with guns or anything like that. This is all done kind of by remote. That's because it's the new era of technology and so on.
Yeah, and they're even a scene where like show like one of the landmark buildings getting blown up, and they all rush outside and find out like no, it's fake.
Yeah,
It's just what they're like displaying on TV, and it's like, well, unless you're actually in a visual range of this to prove like no, it's bullshit.
yeah,
Like you wouldn't know that.
yeah. This film would be pretty good coming out nowadays because you've got things like the more of a concept of fake news, but also AI and so on, and how people are a lot more reliant on technology now than they were back then. Back then, it was more things like your infrastructure was like built upon it, whereas this one, it's like the individual person is like reliant on it as well, more so than it was back in 2007. Now, the actual cast in this, what did you think of Justin Long? He was kind of like the comedy sidekick. He's a bit annoying at first, but I quite like his character in it, and he's kind of necessary because you need somebody who knows what's going on. You needed somebody to kind of nursemaid, I suppose. John McClane through all this and explain like the technological jargon and so on. What did you think?
Like I said, I didn't mind him. He wasn't like annoying to me. He wasn't like one of those cringy comic relief characters where it's like, can the enemy just kill him now? Because seriously, this guy's getting on my freaking nerves.
Yeah. And also his daughter in this as well, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think that's the first film of hers I ever saw in. She was quite good, to be fair. She kind of comes into it later in the movie. She's at the beginning, and she comes back into it later on. She's kind of like the hostage, like you've got in the first two movies where it's his wife. But in this one, she gets kind of held hostage at the end, and she's got like a bit of attitude about her and a bit of a father's what's the word I'm looking for? Attitude, but also the strength, I guess, I suppose. So even when she's being like manhandled and so on, she'll turn around and just like punch the guy while he's pointing a gun at her head because she's fairly tough. You kind of buy it because it's John McClane's daughter as well. They make a point of that as well. So I didn't mind that at all because a lot of the time with these movies, it's just really, again, it's the verisimilitude factor where it just takes you completely out of it when you've got these like scrawny girls that there's no particular reason why they would be like tough and strong, but they just are because they're women and women are awesome. That's not what's going on here. She's John McClane's daughter, and she's obviously inherited a lot of his like toughness, tough attitude, and so on, and bravery. So I quite like that they did that in this, and that she's not just a heroine kind of thing. A bit like John McClane's wife was that, but whereas this is the daughter and he's raised her kind of thing. So it kind of worked. And she's a pretty good actress, is Mary Elizabeth Winstead as well. Like I say, things that I've seen her in before, she's quite decent.
I mean, to be fair, even Holly McClane, Gennaro, whichever name she's going by at the time, she's not strong as in like, oh, she beat you up. But she is kind of strong as in she has like strength of character and like even when somebody's pointing a gun at her, she's clearly scared, but she's not gonna like, oh, please don't kill me. You know, she's still got something about her. Yeah, so you could kind of see why her and like McClane would be together. Also, with her job being a businesswoman, you imagine that she would be very much somebody that could do that. See, again, you bought that in the previous movies. So this is kind of a strong family. So again, it's not just John McClane's daughter, I guess. Holly would probably have taught her a few things about bravery and so on. So yeah, it makes sense to me anyway. But yeah, like I say, Die Hard 4,
or 4.0, the name obviously comes from in terms of software, like different versions of 4.0, not just 4. I think that's what we call it in the UK. In other markets, I think in the US it's called Live Free or Die Hard, because it came out, well, it was set on July 4th. So it kind of ties in with that. Any final thoughts on Die Hard 4?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I really loved Topher Hard with a Vengeance, and even Topher Hard 4, Live Free or Dies Hard. Both were good films. I liked them.
Oh yeah. It's no Glimmer Man though, is it? That came out in like what?
No.
What was a Glimmer Man quote again?
Oh, I've forgotten at this point.
Fair enough. So yeah, we just wanted to do this just to kind of cap it off, because obviously a Die Hard franchise, all 4 movies are very good to differing degrees. Like, some set the standard for action movies, and some of them just kind of tagged on, like Die Hard, maybe Die Hard 2, but definitely Die Hard 4. As I say, technically speaking, officially speaking, there's a 5th movie. We've talked about on this channel many times before. We don't count that
Lies.
at all. Yeah.
There's no 5th movie. I mean, if there was a 5th movie, I would hope they would bring the daughter back, but, there's no 5th movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of that, I remember when I got this box set, I bought it around about 2016-ish, the Die Hard quadrilogy. At this point, the 5th movie had actually come out a few years before. It was 2013 that came out, that piece of shit. I actually paid more to get just the 4 movies in a box set. If I wanted the 5 movies, it would have been cheaper for some reason. But I didn't. I was just repulsed by that film so bad. I just didn't want it in my house, let alone in the same like box set as the others. So yeah, I don't have that.
It's Indiana Jones for you. I would tolerate the Crystal Skull in there, even though Crystal Skull is not a good film.
Yeah.
I would tolerate that over like a 5 film box set with the Dial of Dyslexia in there. Like, screw that.
Yeah. Something actually I want to mention about Die Hard 4 as well, because I've got loads of different other things. Like, so I've got the first movie in 4K. As far as I'm aware, in the UK, you can't get any of the other movies in 4K. I've got the Blu-ray set, which has got the 4 movies. I also have this really old DVD, because this has got extra features for Die Hard 1 and 2 that were never brought across onto some of the other releases. So I've had to keep this box set. I've had this since about 2000, this one. Similar to Die Hard with a Vengeance as well. There's like an alternate ending on that as well. We didn't mention that, but you can see the alternate ending on YouTube anyway, I believe. But this again has extra features. There is also Die Hard 4.0. I don't know if this happened in other countries, but in the UK in particular, at the cinema, the movie was a 12 certificate, so that's like PG-13, so that was definitely not the same as the other ones being like R-rated in the US, or 15 or 18 certificates as they were in the UK. Those like hard action movies. This was more, with it being a 12 in the UK or PG-13, kids can technically watch this as well, so it was watered down a lot. There was this, you can only get this on DVD in the UK last time I checked, but you can get the Ultimate Action Edition, which is a 2-disc harder cut of the movie, and it's got more F-bombs, more violence and so on. This is basically the uncensored version, and it actually makes it a 15 certificate, and it's good stuff as well. I know the differences, and I would definitely rather watch this. So any time that I've watched this since it came out of the cinema, including the Blu-ray that came out in this box set, because this Blu-ray is actually the of Die Hard 4. Although it's a 15 certificate, it's still censored, whereas this one is uncensored. So this is the one that I've kept. So anytime I watch Die Hard 4 now, I just watch the DVD. And it's quite old, and it's nearly 20 years old, this thing. So the quality's not as great when you're watching it. It's kind of grainy a little bit. It's a bit unfortunate, really, because I would like to see Die Hard 4, the uncut version, in like at least Blu-ray quality. It's a bit annoying that anyway, so I thought I would mention that.
So you're saying the DVD edition is specifically the harder edition?
That is
I'm
correct.
sure Topher approves.
Well, yeah, I don't get the reference there, but is it because he stole DVDs or?
Yeah, because he stole DVDs and Topher's always got a hard on, so.
Well, yeah, he would have
So
stole
I don't know why I
Blu-rays.
need to draw you a diagram here, for God's sake.
I was thinking because technically he stole Blu-ray. Well, he could have stole Blu-rays as well, but I don't know if we had many to steal.
He
at that
never
point.
did.
Yeah, he never did for me anyway. But anyway, so it's a bit of a gone off on a tangent there, but yeah, well, I think we'll pretty much leave it there.
Well, if I've got just a couple of minutes, I've just got one final little tangent, just to see if you remember this, because it's far enough back that you might.
Yeah, fine.
So I seem to remember you did have a original PlayStation.
Yeah, is it the Die Hard trilogy?
Do you ever remember the Die Hard trilogy?
Yeah, yeah, it was very good, very well liked game. That yeah, you talk about
that? Yeah, because basically it had like 3 different game modes depending on which film it was. Like the first one was like a top-down, like run around and shoot the like terrorists while defusing the bombs throughout the Nakatomi building, and then the second was more of like a light gun, like shoot the bad guys as you're on rails going through a stage, and then the final one was like a kind of racing one.
Yeah, yeah, I never played it, but I remember it being around, and I'm aware that it's a very well loved game. Was that in the Alien trilogy as well? A similar thing. Did it ever get reskinned at all for any future consoles?
I think there was like a second one of it, but I think it was more like something they made up themselves.
Right. Yeah. No, I do remember that coming out. So yeah.
Yeah, that was the last thing I want to bring up. Just see if you remember that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. No, that's all good. So right, well, we'll leave there anyway. So that's something. Obviously, we cover old school action movies on this channel. So we've kind of winged it for this one. I kind of rambled and kind of got off on a few tangents. So I hope you've stayed with us. But that's pretty much what we talk about on this channel, mainly 80s and 90s action movies. Although we can talk about random things as well, can't we, Car? I know Paul and a few others occasionally like us to talk about like really random things. So
Yes.
right, so we'll leave there anyway and say thank you very much for watching.